Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having a wonderful week. Like always, I've started another brand new discography journey on this channel, and I'm checking out an artist that a lot of you have wanted me to listen to for the longest time. I am talking about the queen of Canadian music, the one, the only, Celine Dion. Now, this woman doesn't need an introduction, but I'm just gonna share with you that she remains the best-selling Canadian recording artist and one of the best-selling artists of all time with record sales of over 200 million copies worldwide. She is regarded as one of pop music's most influential vocalists, and she won 5 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year and Record of the Year, and Billboard named her the Queen of Adult Contemporary Music for having the most #1 songs on the radio format for a female artist. She's also the second best-selling female artist in the US during the Nielsen SoundScan era. And in 2003, she was honored by the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, IFPI, for selling over 50 million albums in Europe. She also holds the record for the highest grossing Las Vegas concert residency at the Coliseum at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas from 2003 to 2007. Now, Celine Dion does have 2 discographies. She has her French language studio albums and also her English language studio albums. I will only be checking out her English language studio albums in this discography journey. And she does have 12 albums in her English language discography. I already listened to one way back in 2019, last year. I did a video for her Courage album, her latest album. So technically this is my second Celine Dion video. We are going back to the year 1990 to where it all started. I mean, technically it started in 1981 when she released her first her first French-speaking album came out in 1981. I had no idea. So her very first album ever, French or English, came out in 1981 when she was only 13 years old. So that would have made her about 22 years old when her first English-speaking album came out in the year 1990, 30 years ago, called Unison. Now, there are 10 tracks on the album, and I don't recall hearing any of these songs except for track number 3, Where Does My Heart Beat Now? And the album is 43 minutes, so enough talking, let's get into the album with track number 1, If There Was Any Other Way. Alrighty, and that was track number 1, If There Was Any Other Way, and I like this song. It was the first single off the album. It was released in March of 1990, which is when I was born, and I enjoyed it. About halfway through, to be honest with you guys, I wasn't really feeling it. I was liking it, but I was thinking, you know what, this will be a Celine Dion song I'll go back to, but once it hit the end of the song, it really did hook me in, and I ended up really liking it. So I would definitely listen to this song again. I loved the production and her voice. I don't know, in my opinion, honestly, her voice doesn't age. She sounds just as good now as she did back then in 1990. Obviously, her voice is going to age as the years go by, especially when she starts belting out those power ballads, but I imagine she takes really great care of her voice. Celine Dion really does have one of those timeless voices that no one else will ever be able to replicate ever again. So now we're gonna move on to track number 2, If Love Is Out of the Question. I love the guitar. Already, and that was track number 2, If Love Is Out of the Question. I enjoyed this song even more than track number 1, If There Was Any Other Way, and I'm not even focused on the lyrics right now. Usually when I do these videos, I like to read the lyrics, but I'm just so focused on her voice, and I feel like the first 2 tracks I listened to already, I feel like they could have been very average songs if another artist sang them, but because Celine is singing them, she's just elevating them and making them so special and so intriguing, and her voice sounds great like always, and So now we're gonna move on to track number 3, Where Does My Heart Beat Now? Yes, yes, yes. Where Does My Heart Beat Now? I remember listening to this song for the first time a few years ago, and I instantly fell in love with it. Hands down, my favorite track on the album so far, and it's great. Her vocals, like always, are great. I'm probably gonna sound like a broken record when I bring up her voice and her vocals, but she's probably gonna sound great on all these songs, so regardless, she still sounds great in this song, and the production on this album's great. I don't really have anything negative to say about this album yet. I wish I was reading the lyrics a bit more, but I'm just not focused on the lyrics right now. I just love hearing her voice. Because this album was released in 1990, it does sound a bit 80s still, but that's just my opinion. I love 80s music, so I don't have a problem with that. So to recap, how much do I love this song? This much. So now we're gonna move on to track number 4, The Last to Know. Alrighty, and that was track number 4, The Last to Know. This was another great song, and I'm reading here, I'm looking at the reviews of this album, and it says that the Rolling Stone gave this album 1 out of 5. It's interesting because it says here that upon its release, Unison received generally positive reviews, and down at the bottom, the Rolling Stone gives it 1 out of 5. Rolling Stone, explain yourself. It looks like the hate for Celine Dion was alive and well, even during her first album's release in 1990. You know what? I don't care what anyone else has to say. What matters is what I think, because I'm the one listening to the album, and I've enjoyed the album. I just feel like these are classic Celine Dion love songs. I mean, her whole catalog is filled with classic love songs. That's her shtick. That's what she does. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, but I'm liking this album. Especially this track, track number 4, The Last to Know. This was another great song, and she sounds great on it. So now let's move on to track number 5, I'm Loving Every Moment with You. Well, I'm loving every moment of this album. Already announced track number 5. I'm loving every moment with you. I wasn't the biggest fan of this song. I don't know. I think it might be my least favorite on the album so far. I don't know. I personally didn't think it was very interesting when it came to the melody. I mean, the production was great, like always, but I don't know, I couldn't really get into it. And I am trying to bring myself to read the lyrics on this album. One of my favorite parts of doing one of these videos is trying to figure out the themes and the stories of an album through the lyrics. And I'm not really focused on doing that for this album. I'm just so enthralled with her voice and the production that I can't even be bothered to read the lyrics on this album, even though I know I probably should. But anyway, let's move on to track number 6, Love by Another Name. Alrighty, and that was track number 6, Love by Another Name. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed myself. I feel like this is the most unique sounding song on the album. It's definitely, I don't know, in my opinion, it's definitely a little R&B sounding. It sounds like a song Whitney Houston could have released. The production on this song in particular, Love by Another Name, is one of my favorites on the album. There was also some strange auto-tune in this voice, some sort of vocoder. It was very robotic sounding, and it was very strange, but oddly enough, I kind of liked it. So now we're gonna move on to track number 7, Unison. Alrighty, and that was track number 7, Unison, and this was another fun song. I don't know, this sounds like another song that Whitney Houston could have released. It's definitely very R&B sounding, and I liked it. What I like about this album so far is that not only is it pop, but it's also a bit R&B, also rock. It's very 80s sounding as well, so kind of a mixed bag of everything. So now let's move on to track number 8, I Feel Too Much. Alrighty, and that was track number 8, I Feel Too Much, and this was a lot of fun. It was a great dance song. As you just saw for yourself, I was having a good time. I didn't like her voice in this song though. It sounded very strange, like it was auto-tuned. It was like, I don't know, it sounded very echoey. I don't know, it just sounded like she was singing through a tube or something, and it was a little irritating to my ears. I don't know, I did like it. But nonetheless, this is still a great dance song, and I had a lot of fun. I loved the rock influence, the electric guitar. I mean, This is a great album so far. I'm enjoying it. So now we're gonna move on to track number 9, If We Could Start Over. Alrighty, and that was track number 9, If We Could Start Over. And I don't have much to say about this song other than I did enjoy it. It's just a classic Celine Dion ballad. It does give you the feels. I'm just gonna say that. It does give you the feels. So we have come to the end of the album. Unfortunately, I kind of want this album to keep going because I am having a good time, but we are at the end of the album and we have to check out track number 10, Have a Heart. Alrighty, and that was the final track of the album, track number 10, Have a Heart, and I liked this song. It was a nice way to wrap up the album. It does sound like a classic 80s power ballad, and there's nothing wrong with that. I liked it. I don't know. Would I listen to this song again? I probably would. I liked it. She sang the hell out of the song, and I did like it. And that is all 10 tracks of Unison, the very first English-speaking album from Celine Dion. And I really enjoyed myself. I just assumed this album would be filled with ballads, love ballads, ballad after ballad after ballad. We did get a lot of ballads on this album, but we also got a lot of up-tempo, fun dance songs as well. I was just expecting this to be a pop album. I wasn't expecting the rock and R&B influences as well. The production of this album is very 80s sounding, which I don't have a problem with that because I've recently discovered a whole bunch of 80s albums. Starting last year, I started going on my 80s music journey, discovering all these great albums from the 80s, and I have a new appreciation for 80s music. I can't really comment on the lyrics because honestly, I wasn't really reading the lyrics. I was just so focused on her voice and the production. Her voice sounds great on this album. There are a couple songs that I'm a little indifferent to, but as a whole, I was pleasantly surprised and I really enjoyed the album. I personally think it's a strong debut album from Celine Dion. So what did you guys think of the album? What are your favorite songs? And for those of you who were old enough to witness Celine Dion burst onto the scene with her very first album, what was that like? What were people saying about this woman and her voice and her music? I'm just so excited to see where she goes from here and how her voice develops and how her music develops, and I'm just really excited to see her grow up through the years and through the decades. So in my next Celine Dion video, we'll move on to her second album from 1992 called Celine Dion. So I think that's all I wanted to say on the album. Thanks for watching, guys. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, you can message me, you can tell me other artists I should check out. I'm open to any artists from any decade. You can find me on Apple Music, you can check out my playlists and so on and so forth. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.